Good boy, Studge. Oh, I shove.
They're going to milk this moment, and rightly so.
Wow. All right, all, and welcome to Standing Room Only. And this week we're coming to you from sunny Manchester, birthplace of the cradle of the Industrial Revolution and a certain well-known football club. But where once was cotton, coal and civic grandeur, now read microchips, computers and leisure services. Talking of which, your very own Standing Room Only is based right here. So now, let's have a leisurely look at what's going on in tonight's footballing hot pot. Video power. How football games have captured the imagination of fans and players.
In real football, you don't get the chance to headbutt the ref. This you do.
World Cup fever reaches America. Why the Puerto Ricans are hot under the collar.
You could be a Polish American and play, and you have an American passport and play for Puerto Rico.
German marksman Jurgen Klinsmann fires a volley at the paparazzi.
Some of them, they never played soccer, but they talk too much. It's not only sport anymore, you know. It became a big business.
And comedy shorts with Rob and Dave.
Middlesbrough will play a rabbit.
If you ever come to Manchester, you're sure to end up here in Chinatown, because the city has the largest Chinese community outside of London. And maybe one day, somebody from this community will end up playing for England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, or even China. But if they claimed eligibility for the USA, there may be a few eyebrows raised at FIFA. Well, at the moment in New York, there's a bunch of Americans caught in the middle of exactly that kind of row. They all play for the Puerto Rican national side. The problem is, hardly any of them were actually born there or even have family from there. The Big Apple. Big buildings, big business, big cars, and a big, big mixture of cultures and races. Only in New York will you find people from all corners of the world living in communities which retain the roots of the countries they left behind in search of the American dream. Right now, in the Puerto Rican community, is a team of footballers trying to realise just such a dream, reaching the 1994 World Cup finals. However, some Puerto Ricans and a certain section of the press believe that the team is taking liberties.
I think my country should use their own people in the games. That way, if we win something, we win it ourselves. And I think it's very wrong for Americans to stay on the team.
Yo pienso que el equipo de Puerto Rico de fútbol soccer debe estar formado por jugadores solamente de Puerto Rico y no por jugadores de Nueva York. Porque una selección debe ser formada por jugadores de su real país, no de otro país.
Under no circumstances I will accept any players from foreign countries to represent Puerto Rico.
Of the 14 members of the squad who beat the Dominican Republic, 9 have no connection with Puerto Rico by heritage or residency.
Puerto Rico is a commonwealth of the United States. There is no Puerto Rican passport, so as long as you have an American passport, which is what Puerto Ricans have, you can play for Puerto Rico. You could be a Polish American and you have an American passport and play for Puerto Rico. So in effect, it's as if the USA is fielding 2 World Cup teams, and that's the controversy.
Earlier this year, the Puerto Rican national team eliminated the Dominican Republic over 2 legs in the very first tie of the World Cup. But the match didn't go off without incident.
Basically, the main trouble was from the Olympic Committee, the Puerto Rican Olympic Committee, which told the federation, the Puerto Rican Soccer Federation, that we were illegal players, and that's where the whole commotion started.
I'm Puerto Rican, and that I read these things in the paper, that I'm a traitor, or the president of the federation's a traitor because we brought players from outside.
The trouble all started last year when the Puerto Ricans decided to sack their manager after he failed to win any of the 12 matches he was in charge of. However, the Puerto Rican-born players rebelled against the decision and refused to play in protest of his sacking. So, the new manager, Arnie Ramirez, said, You don't want to play? You won't play. He dropped 15 of the squad and replaced them with New York-based players.
I thought maybe my career might be dying down, and boom, I get the biggest break of my life. Maybe once, twice in your life, you get a chance to play for your country. How could a bunch of players be so silly as to just take that chance away from themselves over some controversy of a coach?
Because Puerto Rico is a poor third world country, most of the sports are sponsored by the state, and the Olympic Committee hold the purse strings. Bowing to public pressure, they withdrew funding from the so-called mercenaries of the Puerto Rican Football Federation and the then US-based squad.
What some people will do for the money. The money.
Basically, you know, we've been just going around and getting private donations, and a lot of the players have sacrificed a great deal of even their own money to play. So, you know, we're basically looking for sponsors, going door to door, whatever we can get. And as a result of not having a sponsor, right now our federation has offered the Jamaican Federation that we play both games in Jamaica within 4 days of each other. And basically, if we don't get a sponsor, we're going to go there very poorly prepared, and our chances of winning will be very slim. And it's just because of a lack of money.
Martin Alvarez lost his job as a civil servant after playing in Puerto Rico, which forced him to give up his apartment and go back to living with his parents in New Jersey.
When I left, when I asked for permission in my job, being that soccer is not popular in the United States, I had to tell my supervisor that I was leaving to my country, to Peru, to visit a sick relative that I had over there. And then when I came back, my supervisor basically told me that I had lied to him. I was devastated when I was told that I had to leave to play, to represent a nation in the World Cup. It's everybody's dream. And some players, they get the opportunity, they get their breaks. I did not get my break until this time. And now that I got my break, I'm going to make it worth it.
Just last week, FIFA decided to uphold the ruling which allowed the formation of Puerto Rico's newly fangled national side. So it'll be the same team that takes on Jamaica later this month.
Just the fact that you played in the World Cup, whether it's with little Puerto Rico or England or anywhere, it's just a thrill for all of us. It's something that you can always keep with you. No one can ever take it away. Anyone who's played soccer would know that it's definitely worth the sacrifice.
Wow.
We're Corporal Kenny's broken heated playoff team. Yes, we've done it to ourselves again.
What would you do if we failed to go up? Would you make me walk out of the door? Linda's more dust, and I give you my word, I'll keep us out of Division 4. Oh, it'll be alright if I had any mates.
We'd be alright if we had any mates.
I read the sports pages today, oh man. 5 million down a drain in Blackburn, ha ha ha. And though they said it was all down to me, I made sure it wasn't my own LSD. I'd like to play me golf.
Some people say that Manchester is a city looking to the future with its ambitious bid to host the Olympic Games in the year 2000. And newly opened Metrolink is certainly the transport of the future with a flavour of the past. And it's a very dramatic way of looking round this great Victorian city. And dramatics is what some continental footballers are well known for. And in many people's book, German and Inter Milan goalscorer and ace Jurgen Klinsmann is the ultimate drama queen. But when he's allowed to speak for himself, and he really turns into a prince of footballers. Penalty! Penalty! Penalty, referee!
Klinsmann, brilliant goal!
Hookbell, takes by Winter. Klinsmann, what a goal! Germans off the bench, Klinsmann jumps, he's third in the World Cup.
Maybe it was the goal when I was still playing for Stuttgart against Bayern Munich. We won 3-0 and I scored a really good goal. Yeah. It was an overhead kick. It was nice. I think one possibility would be just playing until a decision goal, like when the result is 1-1 or 2-2, just going on, playing until the next goal. That would be very interesting, I think.
Would you want to be Chris Waddle now, or even Stuart Pearce? And England are out of the World Cup. West Germany are through to the final on penalty kicks.
Favorite players, maybe it was Beckenbauer, it was also Pelé, great players, but I think really the best one, the best soccer player, I think it was Maradona, because he was not just a soccer player, he was kind of an artist in the field. There are a couple of really important things outside of soccer. I mean, this was one of the reasons I went to Italy. I wanted to know a new mentality. I wanted to know a new way of life and to speak a new language. And now I'm almost 3 years here in Italy, and I learned really a lot of things, and this is really important. I mean, this is more important because you keep it still in your mind also a couple of years after your career. You don't think about your goals, maybe you scored in your pastime, but you always think about the positive things, like you can talk another language, you can understand another mentality. Journalists, they talk, some of them, they never played soccer, but they talk too much. It's not only sport anymore, it became a big business, we know that, but sometimes it's not easy, to have a good relationship with some people. The Germans, they are ambitious, everybody knows it. And this aspect you can see also in the field. We have the mentality, we have a lot of confidence of ourselves. We go in the field and we are convinced of ourselves and we want to win.
Good ball, Bremer. 3 waiting in the centre. Klinsmann, brilliant goal! 2-0 West Germany, Jurgen Klinsmann.
And it's Pelé, he's got it! The crazy gang have beaten the Culture Club.
Well, welcome to Lancaster Gate for the 5th round draw. The old velvet bag is a little bit of a mixed bag this afternoon because of all the postponements.
And here he is, the cheekiest, zaniest guy in the game, Graham, I wonder if I'm anemic, Kelly!
Yes, well, I've had a bit of a bad day. Up to here with the Premier League. Oh. Who put this pencil here? That could cause crowd pandemonium the police can't control. We should restrict crowd attendance some more. I wonder if I'm anemic. Oh well, time for another draw, I suppose. Number 5.
Bristol Rovers will play.
Number 15.
Plymouth Argyle.
Some feathers.
Middlesbrough. will play
a rabbit.
Ipswich Town.
A long string of jocular sausages, such as might be stolen by a dog in pages of popular comic The Beano.
Portsmouth will play
an endless stream of gaily coloured handkerchiefs. Or who'll put these here? That could cause crowd pandemonium the police can't control.
Sunderland. That concludes the draw.
Local hero Dennis Law, who once spent an unhappy time as a Scot abroad in the early 60s with Turin. But one great player who did make it in Italian football at Juventus was the French midfield maestro Michel Platini. In Thinking Football, we've been scouring the Standard Romagnoli archives to find players' descriptions of their goals which make a mockery of the usual brainless cliches. But this week, it's not Michel Platini that describes his goals, but a member of the Goalkeepers Union who describes what it's like to be on the receiving end of his genius.
For me, the goal is Platini, in the sense that anyone else's goal has always been either my mistake or someone else's mistake. My remorse, regret, anger, and his good luck. But Platini's goal is an absolute goal, about which you need never reproach yourself.
In my dreams. It's been 25 years since Manchester United won the European Cup, and they haven't won the league since then. But nowadays, you don't have to be in a museum to capture the halcyon days of Best, Law and Charlton. With a joystick and more than a few quid's worth of software, the football video game allows you to reproduce a Best dribble or a Law strike. And it's not just the kids from 9 to 90 who are fueling the present boom. More than the odd top player or two is sitting at home trying to recapture those moments when they balloon the ball over the bar and making a bob or two on the way via endorsements.
You know the feeling. It's the day of the big match. Your nerves are on edge, your stomach's churning and your mind's racing. How are we going to play this? Are we going to pack the midfield, use a flat back four, use a sweeper? It's enough to do your head in, but it's all part of the game. No, not that game. This game.
Football champ!
Trend, isn't it, really? I mean, there's trends all the time. But I think this is going to be a long-lasting trend because, I mean, you're in control of the entire game, like God, really.
I like watching football and playing football, and I like to try and put my moves into this game I'm playing when I play on the football field.
Well, in real football, you don't get the chance to headbutt the ref. This you do.
As you may have noticed lately, video and computer games have become a multi-million-pound business. In fact, many of the games that started life in the arcade are now available on any number of home computer systems. And what's more, professional footballers are falling over themselves to endorse these products, which, like the stars that lend their names to them, don't always come up to standard. With individual computer games ranging in price from £7 or £8 up to £40 a time, and the computer systems required to play the games costing anything from £70 to £500, it's little surprise that the UK video game market is currently worth over £500 million a year. With an ever-growing number to choose from, football games make up a sizable chunk of the market.
Football games fall broadly into three areas. There's the out-and-out arcade game, which is all about speed and action, of which Kick-Off is the classic example.
Ask any connoisseur of video game playing and they'll tell you the kick-off is the best game around. Fast-moving and easy to pick up, the players, or sprites as they're known in computer lingo, are controlled by moving the joystick in the direction you want to move. Passing and shooting are controlled by the fire button, which also enables you to perform nifty acrobatics, including sliding tackles, diving headers, and the all-important overhead kick.
Then you have games which try to simulate the more realistic football play. The Man United game is an example of that, where you have better animation of the sprites, more realistic tactical moves. And then you have the out-and-out strategy game, where you may have no action in the game at all. You're simply buying, selling players, doing training, things like that. A real strategy buffs sort of game. Some games try and combine them. Player Manager is an example. Another example would be Emlyn Hughes' Soccer Manager, which tries to combine arcade action with out-and-out strategy. Football games are simply the big seller, which is why so many people are keen to do them. You can, I mean, if you can endorse the product with an event or a football personality, then it's even better. But if it's got football on the cover, it will sell, even if it's the biggest pile of muck you've ever churned out.
The thing is about the game is it is difficult probably for most grown-ups, as it sort of is any sort of computer game, but the 8 and 9-year-olds, you know, they love it. And within 10 minutes they've got it cracked, which is amazing. A lot of players now are getting into the games, as you say, because of the fact of, you know, coach journeys, really. You know, I mean, I know a lot of the Aston Villa players are into them, you know, a lot of the Arsenal lads. You know, and it's probably the younger players that are bringing them onto the buses, onto the coaches, and that's encouraging probably the senior ones who are thinking, I'm not really sure, but, you know, they look good fun, and they do, you know, occupy your time, and that's what you need when you're on long, in many ways, boring journeys.
Games produced in the European nations, so-called footballing nations, tend to be good products, and, you know, they obviously, you know, they know the game, and they seem to do a good job of it. A lot of the games that are coming across from, like, America and Japan, who don't have the history of soccer behind them, perhaps aren't quite there in terms of interpreting the rules and recreating the gameplay. So it really is a case of buyer beware. I mean, it's not good enough to think just because it has your favourite team on the box that it's going to be a really, really good game.
All right then, boys and girls, the boy Studs here with news, views and some of your letters. In case you're wondering why my co-host, the boy O'Brien, has failed to congratulate Leeds on winning the championship, it's because he's sulking, as I took a few quid off him betting Leeds would beat Man U. Apart from that, he's a nice bloke though, just a bit of a loser. Quote of the week comes from the European Diary and goes to that raging bull, Jesus Gil, president of Atletico Madrid. He described rival Real Madrid star Hugo Sanchez as
a very dangerous animal. He's about as welcome as a piranha fish in your bidet.
The long season has meant a bit of a battering for pitchers, and there have been some real battlefields on show. So I wondered what the horticultural reasons were behind these mud baths. The Tottenham groundsman gave this explanation for the White Hart Bog.
The aerobic layer of bacteria is thought to be produced by overwatering and insufficient spiking to the correct depth.
You see, the shallower the roots, the less chance we groundsmen have of keeping the diamond well grassed.
I'd have thought at Cambridge that was the safest area of the lot. Following the results of the survey among disabled supporters in the last show, we've been asking disabled fans what improvements they'd like to see.
But I believe if you're raised halfway up in the stand, they've done the same thing at Crystal Palace, and you're halfway up, and you can view all the games.
I rang Liverpool up about next week. They say we've got 12 tickets that blind. We give them to this bloke and we don't know his number. I mean, what sort of setup? So that sort of, well, how do I find out about him? He said, I don't know.
Could do with probably a few more allocations for wheelchairs. As the allocate for 23 wheelchairs and turn at least 20 wheelchairs away for a home game.
As from next season, you can't go in without an escort. And the escort now has got to pay £10, or the disabled person's got to pay £10 to go into the ground. If you haven't got the escort, you can't go in.
The European Trophy Finals kick off this week with Italian teams well represented. No Brits, of course, so we asked you if our footy really is so far behind.
They've got the better stadiums and some of the bigger name players maybe, but I don't think the standard of football is any higher abroad than it is here.
Better looking football.
Better looking footballers, better kits.
Genoa against Liverpool was a rubbish game. Like, they scored 2 good goals, but that was it. The game was like rubbish. It was all negative, and pass it backwards and keep the ball, and no tackling, jumping in the air.
The best description I would come to is namby-pamby for the Italians.
Nice to know you all appreciate cultured football so much. Thanks for all your letters. Jenny Botham and Jerry Taylor wrote to us about what they call the iniquitous allocation of only 619 tickets to Tottenham fans for their away game at Manchester United next weekend.
It seems ironic and two-faced considering United were given the entire South Stand at White Hart Lane last year.
So that's why Spurs had such financial trouble. Next up, fanzines. The Coventry City fanzine, The West Ender, includes goalkeeper Steve Grizovich's guide to saving penalties.
Put the kicker off by lengthy pacing around and marking out of imaginary ley lines. Smile at penalty taker. This seems to have a devastating effect. Always check team sheet to see that Lee Hurst is not playing. Under no circumstances must he be left unattended on the edge of the penalty area.
Keep your letters coming and write to us at the following address: Fan Stand, Standing Room Only, BBC North, P.O. Box 27, Manchester M60 1SJ.
It's 1968 since we last won the league, 1969 for the FA Cup. So it looks like, at least for now, May Road are going to have to carry on singing the blues. And if it's the Sky Blues up in Manchester, then an hour down the road in Birmingham, it's Blue Skies for Birmingham City and their young dynamic chairman, Samesh Kumar. As Division 2 beckons, we gave that much vilified figure, the club chairman, the chance to deflect some of the stick which is often dished out.
Well, it originally started being a lifelong supporter of Manchester United and really being a supporter of football in general. And the ambition was to achieve something for a football club, possibly get involved with one that had potential, a sleeping giant. Birmingham City fitted the bill superbly.
Hello, Mr. Chairman.
Once I've arrived in the morning, obviously I'll just go through any quick mail that my assistant will have given me. And then it's really just to check on the various areas, starting off with the junior blues room to see if they've anticipated any problems for the day.
All right, and make sure you've got the tuning today, lads. I want to hear you from my director's box, OK?
By introducing youngsters as young as 2 and 3 and 5 years of age that come every Saturday, these are our future supporters and possibly our future season ticket holders. And by virtue of the fact that they've come through the ranks of the football club, you'll find that they behave themselves. They know exactly how to behave on a match day because it's their football club that they love.
We're just filling up with one last round now with some Wembley winners t-shirts.
Right, and did your stock arrive this morning that you needed?
Yeah, it's all come.
It was quite frightening that Birmingham City, when I arrived 3 years ago, never had a full-time commercial department. Here was a big city club with a tremendous history, really, and all of a sudden it's had this tremendous decline. I would say probably in the first instance it's very important to get some pride back into the club, some success on the park, because that's the most important thing, is the team to be winning. But side by side, that to try and build some confidence amongst the business fraternity as well as the actual supporters. How many in here then, Bill? Just before the game, I'm terribly tense. It's as if I'm playing, so I try and keep out of everybody's way, locked in my office. Then wait for the last few minutes leading up, take my lucky trophy from my cabinet to take it with me to the boardroom. Being the first Asian chairman, perhaps, and as young as I am, I felt that people really listened to me, but whatever I had to say just went through one ear and out the other, and they were more interested in drinking their scotches and talking property deals. But I like to have had a situation where I could speak one-to-one with the opposite chairman or director on at least a football level. The result today is very crucial to the Blues. If we win today, that basically ensures that we're promoted. To me personally, it'd be my biggest ever achievement in my life, and to come on a year after winning the Leyland Daft Trophy at Wembley, it's a dream beyond dreams, really. I find it sometimes very difficult to control myself, and going back a year, every time we scored a goal, I'd jump out of my seat and be punching the air. I find now I'm too tense to actually enjoy the game, as it were. There's one or two movements that, as a supporter, I do enjoy, but for me, it's the actual result that's all important. I would be keeping my feet on the ground, knowing that success is very short-term, but at the end of the day, it's back to Monday morning and back to problems.
The Standing Room Only Hall of Fame proudly presents
James Joyce. This enigmatic Irish winger turned out for local team Liffey Wanderers, and while his talent was never in doubt, he was prone to long, convoluted runs without the ball and obscure passes into space after the game was over. But Jesus! His poor eyesight and tendency to write in the referee's notebook meant that he didn't receive international recognition. Yeah, I just have a little scribble here.
I'm sorry, James, you're off.
D.H. Lawrence, a plucky little midfielder who turned out for a host of Midland clubs. He was never seen with...